Hello and welcome to TMXing Adventures. Lisa here this afternoon, and I'm going to make a fudge. Now, I've decided that I've got some condensed milk that needed using in the fridge, and I started typing it into Cookie Doo to decide what to make. Now, actually, it was yesterday because I then sent hubby shopping last night to buy white chocolate. Now, white chocolate is something that we generally do not have in our home because I don't actually like it. Does anybody else online, when you come on later on and watch the replay, do any of you guys not like white chocolate either, or is it just me? But what I am interested in is this recipe. It's got condensed milk, white chocolate. It's supposed to be Bailey's, but I'm going to use a coffee liqueur. It's got then something else, pistachios. So I'm going to give this a go. Now, I've actually put it as a modified recipe in the cookiedoo.com.au. What I found was interesting is when I went in there today to do it, one of my kids, my 8-year-old, has actually put his own recipe. Can you see the little man on the screen? He's put his own biscuits in there, which I thought was super cool. I love how accessible the Thermomix is, no matter your age. Okay, my 6-year-old, yes, he needs a hand for it, but the 8, the 10, the 11-year-old, they just cook, and I love that. And now they add their own recipes, because often when we go to the library, they find books that on cooking that they like and they want to make the recipes from, and they come home and then they literally translate them, which is super cool. So let's get started on this recipe. I've actually translated it into scaling it. Okay, so the reason I've put it there is it's from Cookie Doo, but it uses nearly 1 kilogram of white chocolate. And as I said, I'm not fond of white chocolate. I'm not fond of really sweet, sugary stuff anyway. It often makes me feel a little unwell. So I don't want a massive amount, but I'm curious. Okay, and I love how the Thermomix makes us confident even when we're not sure. So I'm going to give it a go. I actually went from, the option there was like 100 pieces, and then you could go 75 or 50. Now what I actually did is I went 75 because I worked out how much chocolate I've got. And then I'm going to actually go from the 75, I'm going to, by brain power, halve it, because it didn't give me an option to go 25%. So it's quite smart in the sense that sometimes it actually won't let you do a certain step because it knew that it couldn't melt chocolate for any less time. Okay, so that's ultimately why. And by the way, those of you on Facebook, say hi if you're watching on today. If you're watching the replay, hit replay so that Facebook knows that you want it in your newsfeed. But let's get started on this recipe. So I am going to, with brain power, halve it. I didn't try and stay in there to see if I could halve it longer, but let's give it a go. All right, this is our own recipes. How cool is that? All right, line a 20 by 20. Now, because I am doing a smaller batch, I literally have like this small little 10 by 10. I'm really not sure. If there's leftovers, happy days, I'll lick out the bowl. Who cares, right? Like, if there's worse things to lick out. Okay, pistachios. Now, I'm curious to see how this goes. It's asked for the original recipe, and I've actually got the original on the phone here because I wanted to check it all went over right. So the original recipe calls for 50, it's asking for 40, and I'm gonna put in 20 because I'm doing this smaller batch today. Okay, so in this goes at 20 grams of pistachios. Obviously these could be macadamias, slivered almonds, or even whole almonds that you're gonna dice down. Totally up to you, okay, what you put into this. Let's click on close, and then it says we're going to chop this down on speed 5 for 5 seconds. So it's got that up there. I love the underlined green, okay? It's amazing that it just remembers what you need for you so you don't have to. How good is that? So speed 5 seconds, let's do it. Hoping those of you on Facebook can see me because I actually can't tell. It's just doing a little, I used to call it the circle of doom on the screen. So anyway, hopefully you guys can see me, but otherwise the replay will come up from YouTube later anyway. So that's done a really rough dice on my pistachios, and it says in a second, it's going to say transfer to a bowl and set aside. So I'm just putting them actually into my lined dish for later. Okay, we go to close that. We then go across with the arrow, and now it asks for our chocolate. So in goes our chocolate. I'm doing half of this and it's asking for 710. So I'm going to put in 350 or thereabouts. The original recipe, as I made mention, was like 940 or something, like nearly a kilo. And I was like, oh, that's a lot of white chocolate. That's a lot of fudge. So I don't want that much. This is a smaller portion to try and then probably gift away, okay, if it makes it that long. Sometimes these things go missing in my house as well, or my fridge more so. So what did I say about 350? All right, 340. What did I ask for? 3, yeah, so we'll go one more little cube. Later on, I'll taste test it and see if I still don't like white chocolate. There we go, perfect. Okay, so then we close that off and then it says we're gonna chop that down, okay? So the beauty of Thermomix melting chocolate is that it does a really good job. It doesn't overdo it. I don't know if you've ever tried to melt in a microwave where you end up with it splitting potentially because it actually gets too hot, or even traditionally over a bowl of boiling water with a second bowl on top, which then you're kind of doing that manhandling of potentially burning yourself. So I do love this. So the first thing we're gonna do is 20 seconds, speed 8. And we won't need that long because we've only got half as much anyway. So we're gonna do 10 seconds, but I'll just keep an eye on that. And then we're gonna melt it. So hang on a second. I can hear that's turning into, because I did go longer than 10 seconds, I took the MC out so you guys could see, it was starting to kind of combine like nut butters do. Okay, now white chocolate is actually not a cocoa product. It's actually something different and I can't remember what it is, but yes, so it does react a little bit differently, but chocolate will come together like that as well if you overgrate it, as does grated cheese, right? So now it's got a melt of 2 minutes and 40 seconds at 60 degrees. I'm just going to do 1.5 minutes on that. 60 degrees, speed 4, and off it goes. Then it's going to ask us, I'm wearing some of it, then it's going to ask us in a moment to scrape the sides, and we're going to do another little cook on this before we add our condensed milk in. Okay, so I've got leftovers from making condensed milk ice cream, maybe, and then I've got leftovers from something else as well. So I'm hoping this comes to my weight that I need. One was made with brown sugar and one was, coconut sugar, and one was made with raw sugar, hence the different colors that they've come out, but they still taste amazing and the same. How cool is that? So this is nearly done. Let's have a look at it, see if it stops splattering us. You see how it's melted in there now? That's what we're after, that beautiful melted creaminess in there. Nearly done. Now we need our spatula to scrape the sides. Now you can make this in a TM31, a TM5, TM6, thermo cooker, whatever it might be. As long as it's got these low temperatures, you can make your own chocolate stuff in this. All right. Oh, it smells like melted white chocolate. I think that's long enough. I could keep it going, but it's hit 60 degrees. It looks pretty smooth to me. And now it's going to ask us to scrape down the sides and melt it for 3 more minutes. That's literally to just get rid of the chunks and lumps that are actually stuck up. So I don't know if you guys can see. Let me see if I can move this camera without it falling off today. I don't know if you guys can see, but can you see there's some couple of chunks here? See those bits that aren't in and aren't melted? It will not require, in our case today, with this amount, that full 3 minutes. It'll probably need about 30 seconds. So that's all that's for, is actually to capture those bits so you don't end up with a couple of white chocolate chunks in there. So let's just do this last little melt. We won't do the full time. We're just going to do 30 seconds, okay? Next up, we've got our bits and pieces to add, our 3 other ingredients, which are our condensed milk, our liqueur. If you don't drink liqueur, chocolate topping would be amazing. Okay, so that would be an option in there. Even some essential oils. You know, if you're into things like, I don't know, essential oils, vanilla, whatever it might be, you could put something like that in. Some orange oil or something in would be lovely as well. Okay, so there's plenty of ways. I keep forgetting I don't have a timer on. There's plenty of ways you can do that. I love guided cooking. Can you tell? Because guided cooking means I don't get distracted in the kitchen. And traditionally, before I owned a Thermomix, I would burn everything, okay? So this means I don't burn things anymore. So that's why I love guided cooking. Oh, I'm sorry, my puppy dog is outside the door. We have a new family member at our house. And she does not like the fact that I have closed the door because she was asleep outside. And she's realized now that I'm here and she's there. Okay, add the condensed milk. We only need 145 grams of condensed milk. And this is where we cross our fingers. Two things. Number one, hope my spatula reaches the bottom to get it out, because I didn't factor in the fact that I didn't have my other. Oh, it does reach just going to get a little bit out of this one. Oh, that's, all right. We'll leave that one till later. We'll cross our fingers that this one has enough, because I can't even scratch the bottom of that. And I suppose if we don't have enough condensed milk, it's probably just going to set a little firmer than it would have otherwise, because that's going to be part of the softening of that chocolate. I wish I had a different spatula. Hang on, let's try this is the TM31 and TM5 spatula. I love this for cleaning my bowl, and I still use it for removing my simmering basket. Okay, so it still gets used. I think I'm going to have to let it in. Nobody else, the kids are ignoring her. They're playing Lego, and she's not allowed in the Lego room because she wants to eat the Lego. So, I know somebody's opened the door for her. All right. Let's go. How much are we up to? All right, we are short. I'm not going to stress that we're short. We're just going to continue on. As I said, it'll be a little tiny bit firmer. Oh, I should have thought about this earlier. There we go. There's a little bit on there. It'll just be a little bit firmer than otherwise. It's missing that 290. I can't do the maths today, guys. 45. It's missing 45 grams. It'll be fine. Now we need some, because I'm halving it for those of you joining in now. Now we need our liqueur, and I'm just going to use 30 grams. By the way, I'm not feeding it to the children. This is for hubby and I, and then probably to gift away if there's any left. We'll try it tonight and let you know what we think. I'm going to pull that a little bit short. And then we're going to put in our reserve pistachios. And we are actually done. So I know that we're shortcutting this recipe because we're doing a smaller portion, but you can see how easy it is. Like, there's really no reason to go buy sweet treats for people when you can whip them up yourself. And there are so many flavor combinations, okay, on Cookie Do and even recipe community. All right, so many recipe choices. 35 seconds, 50 degrees, reverse speed forward. Probably should have the measuring cup in. There we go. Ours will be done. We've got such a smaller portion in there. We will be done. And then we literally are supposed to work quickly before it sets to get it into the container you're going to put it in. Now I have, as I said, just using baking paper because I'm not, oh, look at that. Yum. It is quite firm though, because I don't have all that condensed milk. You'll see already, like I can scrape it out like cake mixture. That'll be okay though. It won't matter for us. And you know what? A couple of tips. All right. So if for some reason you're making, say, the caramel fudge I made the other day and it doesn't set, just use it as ice cream topping. Chop it up, make it into a rocky road, like where you mix it through the rocky road mix. There's so many ways you can upcycle and reuse. And say you get gifted way too much at Christmas time and you can't possibly eat it all, okay, never fear. Just put it in the freezer. The fridge actually probably would do okay because sugar kind of doesn't expire. And you put it to good use over the time. You know, when you go and make your Easter eggs, not Easter eggs, Easter eggs too, but when you go and make your hot cross buns, use the hot cross buns at Easter time. Like, you know, that's the thing. If somebody's, gifted you some, or maybe you don't end up, I don't know, you forget yours and it stays in the fridge instead of going to your Christmas dues, then, I should work quick with this. I need to push it down. But don't let it go to waste. Okay, we don't waste food with our Thermomix. It's supposed to save us money, time, energy in the kitchen, all that jazz. So let's not waste it. I'm going to use the baking paper on top to push it down because mine is so hard because it didn't have all the beautiful condensed milk. Mine is quite thick as far as height goes. Probably thicker than I need it to be, but that's just the container I've got. So just FYI, if you are doing, a quarter batch? Yeah, quarter batch. I would have had I done it before and known, this is about 2 centimeters tall. So something a little bit longer so it could be a little bit thinner would be more our style of how we would naturally make it for ourselves or gift it away. Bit like the caramel fudge was the other day where it's only about that high. Okay, but otherwise, I hope you'll give this a go. That's what I turn up as often as I can on here so that you can get hopefully the very most out of your Thermomix. There is so much our TMs can do, whether it's a 31, a 5 or a 6 or some other version. There's just so much. Like, I have never made this before. Okay, 9.5 years owning a Thermomix, I have never made this recipe before. So it is so awesome that we've got such a wealth of recipes that are tested at our fingertips, ready to play with, experiment with, and know that we're going to get success from as well. Always pick ones over 3.5 star, okay? Not under 3.5. 3.5, actually 3.7 is kind of my line in the sand. But if I can support you with anything with the Thermomix, do reach out. You've probably heard by now, Thermomix in Australia extended the bowl offer. It's on for I don't know how many days, until this 12th of January, which is really generous of them as well. So if I can help you or someone you know get a Thermomix, do reach out. I love helping transform kitchens because ultimately they are a different place and space with more ease when you've got one on the bench. But otherwise, guys, thanks for joining me today. Let me know your favorite fudge recipes below, or more so, just tell me your combos if you'd like. If you've got favorite fudge flavors, do share them. If it's a recipe that's on Cookie Do, let us know. If it's one from somewhere else, let us know. I would love to know what your favorites are, what you're making this Christmas. But I hope your Christmas season so far is going well, and reach out if I can support you in any way. But otherwise, thanks for joining me, guys. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.